My name is J. Rod D, and I like to model in my spare time.
Yeah.
Don't tell nobody I told you this, but in my spare time, I just look at myself in selfie mode.
Selfie mode. Who's that? Correct. Home set up.
Baby. Hey.
Good.
We'll tell you.
Crank it out. Peace, what's going on? I'm J. Rod D.
And I'm G,
You're now tuned into the Poet Life Podcast.
hosted by none other than Nuance.
How's everybody doing
What's
today?
going on, man? Good evening to everyone. Good morning if you watch it from different coastlines and all that jazz.
All that good stuff,
What had
man.
it now?
We got a pretty good episode set up for y'all today, man. We gonna take it a whole nother level than what we've been doing so far. This episode 8.
Hey.
Episode 8, we almost in the double
Ocho.
digits. This is a beautiful history we're making for ourselves right now.
Yes, Lord.
And speaking of history and everything like that, we want to speak more about our journeys as poets and how, you know, we draw things and learn things and grow and develop as artists and all that good stuff. So the question I want to start us off with is how has poetry helped you to discover and define more of who you are? Like, I break it down, now that you found poetry and you're pursuing it more, how has it changed your view on life? You know what I mean? How does it, first of all, help you discover what your view is, you know what I'm saying, how to shape that and define that, but also, most importantly, how does it help you define who you are? You know?
For me, man, it kind of just gave me a solid foundation. Because a lot of times when you're young and you have no idea of what you're going to become, what you're going to do, you don't have a foundation, or you feel like that. You haven't really found your purpose, I should say. So poetry for me was that push, that this is where you can be at, this is where you belong. And it's not necessarily going to be safe here always, because you're going to have to put yourself out there. But that's life.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take the risk. You're going to have to do something different, because that's how you evolve.
Yeah.
If you do the same thing over and over, you're not going to get no results. That's insanity. You know? But poetry made me more confident. I was a very shy kid. I did not like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't like to talk to people because I just didn't know how. So it was once what was once just buried in my notebook and buried just in my head and on napkins and just bits of piece of papers are now being spoken. And I'm comfortable with that now.
Yeah.
At first I was not. What about you?
For me, it helped me discover more of like the direction I wanted to go. As far as like, I know starting off, I had a lot about like my relationship with God and my relationship with women I was dealing with at the time, and it's kind of like guided me and helped me discover more about what I was doing, because I was able to write from their perspective in most cases. Speaking about the ladies in my life at the time, write from their perspective, and I'm learning about myself through that and helping me be creative in the sense where I was writing from how I was feeling, and I was discovering more about the situation I was in. Kind of gave me more understanding. And it just helped me to find like a path for myself, because I knew I wanted to be a unique poet. I wanted to be a unique individual. And I wanted to be in a position where I was able to stand out and draw positive attention to myself. So I think poetry helped me craft that out, because I was thinking like, okay, the words I say on stage, or the words that I write on this piece of paper, have to be able to achieve that goal, because I don't want to just write anything. I don't want to just be saying anything for the sake of applause or for the sake of, likes and stuff like that. So I want to have something that sets me apart. And I found in my content matter and my delivery, as it grew and changed, it also added on to that discovery and that the definition of who I wanted to be.
So that content, right? First starting out, did you know exactly the content that you wanted to have, or were you just writing?
I didn't know exactly what I was. I was writing with a similar theme in mind, or with similar themes and motifs in mind.
Right.
I had like similar topics I always touch upon. I I didn't really think that I would stay in this lane as far as like speaking on one thing all the time.
Okay.
It was more of like I spoke more than one thing frequently, so I kind of got good at it and kind of good at it, breaking it down and describing it as a metaphor. So when we want something else, and it became more introspective and more open to different views and perspectives. I guess you could say like instead of writing as like a from I or me, I would say more like we and our in my poems and things like that, changing the tense and changing the point of view.
So the transparency.
Yeah, transparency definitely because as I grew in my writing, I was able to be more confident in addressing things that I've experienced and things that I've dealt with.
I got you.
Trying to deliver like some kind of remedy. Maybe somebody else was going through this too. I mean, it was just what's the word I'm looking for? Catharsis. A catharsis is like a relief.
Look, brother, I don't have my dictionary on me right now.
More like a relief for me.
I am not the person to ask about nothing catalactica.
Cathartic. That's what it was.
Catalactica.
What about you though?
Man, I feel like I didn't have a certain content. When I started writing, I was a kid, man. I was a boy. I didn't know what poetry really was until I started to study it later, like years later. So I would just be journaling and just writing and what I thought was poetry at the time, which was a mix of music and rhyming and just little short lines. And then they just evolved over time, man.
Yeah.
And my context started to be from about like, I used to write a lot of the love poems, bro. I'm not even gonna front. I wrote a lot of love poems. Oh man, flashback of the day. But then it evolved to like things that happened and my emotions and how I was feeling at the time and what I would see and just current events and all that jazz and just wanting to be heard. Angry poems started to be my thing for like a short period of time. And I was having this conversation earlier where it's just like people are so good at writing in one element, like one emotion. Like if you start out writing and in pain and you wrote through your pain, then you were happy. Could you still write?
Right, that's a good question.
Could you still have that same powerful context of like, yo, these bars really hit as hard as the ones that people are used to me writing? Or can you do you freeze up based on your emotion, based on like the situation that you're going through? Like prime example, right before we became Nuance, and before like we just were climbing that ladder of being like dominant poets in this game, we were young. Right? We were young, we were just starting, we were eager, we were green, we were wet behind the ears, whatever you want to call it. And we just wrote. Now, I feel as though that like we still write, but now we have a direction. We have an image. We have that certain, what's the word? I'm going to say intensity.
Okay.
For the time. Like we have a certain intensity about the pieces individually. I can say that says we're gonna really explain and paint this picture for whoever's listening, whoever's reading this, because we want you to get it. We want you to feel what was going on in our minds when we thought about it from the first go.
Yeah.
Before we didn't have that. For me, the context, I think, is like you ever see one of them rubber band balls? They had to start from somewhere. To grow into whatever. Yeah, start with, like, each of those things had to start with one rubber band. So, like, just imagine how, like, the ideas from when you first started writing up until now. My goodness, like, now you could we can give each other topics. Like, yo, like, you remember how we used to do, like, what, 1-2 years ago? Like, yo, I got this topic, I got this idea, let's see if we can write to it. And we would kill it. Mirror Man.
Yeah.
Mirror Man, Broken even. Like, man, wow. For those of you who don't know Mirror Man and Broken, we do have those out on YouTube. Just follow Nuance. You'll see them. It's pretty dope. Black Boy too.
Mm-hmm.
Black Boy is probably one of my favorite poems that we did.
Yeah, I met up with Damo today, man. Shout out to Damo.
Shout out to Damo, man.
I met up with Damo today. We was talking about different things, and one of the things he brought up was like a Black Boy and how the line I wrote that to my son last night, and I wrote that poem before I even knew I was about to have a son, and so just it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because now I gotta teach my son what I wrote the letter to him, but I gotta show him that letter, and just show him break down the wisdom that I had inside of that, which is a good thing, and I think that just speaks to the discovery and the definition of my art and impact it's had on my own life. Because now I'm going through, as I grow my own experiences, being that I teach in schools and everything like that, I see young men, I say, you know what, if I have a child, this is me speaking at the time, if I have a child, mainly a son, I want to be able to say this to him and show him this. So when I wrote that poem, it just felt authentic. And now in a position where I have a baby boy, and I'm looking at him every day and seeing that he's growing and moving and crawling and rolling around, all that other stuff.
What are we on now?
5.
5
months. 5 months. Shout out to Miles, my main man. Just watching him. Now I'm like, okay, I'm in a whole different position.
Too, man.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I'm in a whole new position in life. Position as a man, as an artist, and so it reflects in my art.
So
what?
Now, because before, I feel like you may have had like a different mindset as a writer, as a poet. You know what I'm saying? But now that you're like a father, you're a family man. You know what I'm saying? You have like this empire that you building. How has that been something that has impacted you as a poet?
It just keeps me mindful of the things that I say, because now I'm thinking about anything I say right now, my son can easily have access to, and it can easily reflect on my family.
Wow.
So what I do say, I try to make sure that I'm monitoring my words more, and that the content I'm portraying is more mature and is more appropriate for where I am in life.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be talking about things I'm not doing or try to perpetuate a stereotype anymore. Not anymore, or at all, period. Pardon me, at all. I want to be more authentic in this, because now I have something that I can speak for. That is more heavier, more weightier to carry now. And I don't want to be a bad representation.
So if you, hypothetically, right, were at like a seminar of some sorts,
okay,
where there was you had this platform and you were speaking to brothers who are now new fathers, who are now just observing their craft, whether it be poetry, whether it be music, whether it be fashion, whatever they choose to do. What, like, based off what you learned from the very first moment that your son was born up until this point, what is something that you could say to them or just encourage them to do, or just even like words of acknowledgement? You see what I'm saying?
The acknowledgement is in the sense that, once it's here now, and now it's no denying or running or hiding. You either have to you do it or you don't. Another thing would be, if possible, please maintain a relationship with the child's mother. If you guys are together, please make sure that you do what you gotta do to make it better, because during those times, especially post-pregnancy, a lot of women can get depressed. Postpartum depression is pretty real, and so you want to be able to be in a position where you can be that rock for her, because she may be feeling all kind of things because it changes, the body, and then, mentally, and then she's been tired, and now she's up early and staying up late and checking on the baby hand or foot because it's still young and it's fresh. And you want to make sure that you're available for that, present for that. And if you make sure that relationship is maintained, I think a lot of the stress will be alleviated in the long run, and it'll bring you guys closer. I know my grandmother told me when my son first got here, he told me, Granny. My grandma told us, she was like, I know Miles is here, but make sure you guys are still together. And
I dig that.
I knew what she meant, what she was saying, because she was like, a lot of times when a child comes to the picture, it can kind of tear things up because people have different agendas. And when a child comes, everything changes. Yeah. So you have to acknowledge that change first and foremost, and recognize that change is going to happen. But you got to be on the side that's for the better. You know, so you come out of that like gold, and I come out of that like, you know, yeah, man.
So how do you juggle that, man? Like, okay, you're a full-time teacher, full-time parent. You got love of your life there, and then your poetry.
Mm-hmm.
How do you juggle like everything? How has those pillars, I could say, because they are pillars, I feel, enhance? Like, did they enhance your writing? Do you feel like you kind of shied away from your passion, or is it something that it was just art? It's always gonna be there. It's never gonna leave you. Like, as far as the poetry is going.
It definitely helped me write more focused pieces. A lot of pieces I've written now have been more focused on different themes relative to my experience now. So speaking about so like pieces like Sacred Stage, recognizing that when you come on the stage and present your poetry, like if you're not ready, the stage can be sinking sand, and you don't want to try to build a foundation on sinking sand. So you want to try to come off 100% with, you know, everything ready to go. Just so kind of like to my experience. Now I think what I'm in now is informing my poetry and my point of view more than before, because I have a lot more to talk about. It's more detailed. It's more it's more specific, and I think it's more grown. So as I go to different venues, I can speak to people who may have been in that situation that can relate to that situation now.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's groovy, man. That's groovy. Now, being your brother, love you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you do a lot. And I learned from, like, you and Cal and even Christoph, who just, if y'all don't know Christoph, man, he should have his own Wikipedia page by now, to be honest. It's crazy. But, it's motivational.
Yeah.
It allows me, and it challenges me also to be like, yo, I have a solid, like, arsenal of brothers who are really like brothers that will, you know, they have their foundation, they're building, they're growing, and they have their families now, you know. That strengthens my pen. That helps me to see, like, okay, so write about that. Because it's a feeling for me, man. And, like, the joy I have was just seeing, the first time I ever seen you hold your son, it was just beautiful. I was like, wow. Because I know that was like a goal.
Yeah.
That was a passion. That was like a dream even, you know? Dream come true.
Yeah.
Even with Cal, man, you see the glow on his face when you see, when he's holding his son, and that peace of mind that you have. From just speaking from personal experience, that when you see your brothers that, like, you just watch, just matriculate and just chip away at themselves, the negative things about the character that they didn't like. That's a poem. That is like a whole piece that you can use, and you can just inspire people, man. Like, yeah, it don't look all rainbows and sunshine right now. You're gonna go through some storms. You're gonna have, it's gonna be your turn to witness some hard times and turmoil. But this here is worth it.
Definitely.
Even if it's not yours, you still can celebrate that. I think, like, okay, what is it? It isn't the victory after all, but the fight the brother makes. You know what I'm saying? Or it takes a man to stand and cheer while the other brother starves.
Yeah.
That part. Man, what? You gotta cheer. Because there's not enough of us to cheer.
Yeah.
I feel. You know, and we see that, man. It's that crabs in the barrel, especially when it comes to those who are trying to make it in their passion. So, like, back to the situation at hand, and it brings me to that appreciation stage of why us as poets cannot really be too judgmental with other people's craft. Because if they're bold enough to share their voice like we are, and they go on that sacred stage that we write about, and they feel like they're ready, but, you know, we can't critique them based off of, you know, what we know and what we know ourselves to give to the sacred stage. I feel as though that it's more so of an inspiration thing from what you do. Like, when we're sitting there and we're sitting in the crowd and we're just watching people speak their truth. whether it be like written something or they like we was watching what was that Busboys and people was just like reading other people's stuff. That's like that can serve as a testimonial to what they may be going through. And we was sitting in the back. At first we were unsure. Well, I was unsure. I can only speak for myself. It's like, okay, like, because we used to people just writing their own thing and just delivering that, but we saw something else. And that let me know, like, yo, either he or she really likes that poem, or that particular piece spoke to them in a different way that they needed to share that with somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So have you ever been in a position where you were speaking a piece or delivering the one, I should say, and you look amongst the crowd and you kind of felt some energy from somebody in the crowd where it felt like they were like in tune, or they were so like at the edge of their chair focused on what you were saying, like to the point where you just had to make sure that you delivered that piece even more. You get where I'm kind of navigating to, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like we've been in those situations, I feel like, where we delivered a piece and we felt like nobody really felt it. And then we felt on the other side where like we got a lot of feedback and this, that, and the third, but to me there's that, like there's one or two people that really feel that. That's why when we pray before each show, we say if we can reach at least one, then we good. Do you ever felt like you saw that one in the crowd, or you felt that one that, like you didn't even have to see their face, but you felt that was for somebody there? It's like, yo, hey, I gotta really, let you know about this.
I know I had experiences where I was doing my thing, and there was somebody that was really engaged, and it definitely encouraged me and kept me like, it actually made me step up in the middle of the piece. So I kind of like turned up a little more just to make sure that I delivered it the best way I could, and that was encouraging to me. But some pieces or some experiences I had where I was delivering a poem, I kind of felt like this needed to be said. So it was kind of like, well, I don't care if you like it or not, I'm just gonna say it. And that was inspiration enough for me, because I knew that at the end of the day, yeah, exactly, somebody needed to hear this, or if anybody needed to hear it, I needed to say it because I need to hear it for myself.
Gotcha.
Which reminds me of, like, again, like discovery and definition as an artist. There's a piece that I wrote in my first book, Sophia, by the way, you'll find on blurb.com link. Well, it's not my bio right now. Poet Life Podcast is my bio right now, but definitely want to contact me about any copies of Sophia. Also, Solomon is on the way soon.
On the way.
Check that out. But I had a piece.
Like the showcase person.
Yeah, I had a piece. I was talking about insecurity, and I think, like, for real, man, it came from a time when I was definitely struggling. I guess personally with, like, self determination, trying to figure out what I wanted to do as far as like life, and there was time when I didn't really have a job and I was working for, place I didn't want to work at, and saying millennial type stuff, you know what I mean, but just more so like trying to find myself as a man. And it goes like, I've been a slave. Well, it's called Had Chains. So on page 19 of Sophia, collection of poems by J. Rod D. Had Chains. It says, I've been a slave to the validation of others, wishing I was another, or wishing I was a brother of mine who I deemed better in comparison and contrast to my gas smell cleaner than colognes that I've been wearing. That was before I met myself, before I met the man in the mirror. Even now I find myself battling still. And I kind of wanted to address, just in that small little piece, yeah, I've been a slave of validation. Thinking about the concept of assurance, it's like a biblical concept. A lot of people struggle with the thought that, okay, will this action lead to wrath or punishment from God? Will this action lead to some kind of negative effect? Or, a lot of people fear going to hell, things like that. That assurance piece, I think, is a universal concept. Assurance is like knowing that regardless, you're good. At the end of the day, you're covered, you're protected, you're straight. And to even push it a little bit further, I think to to exceed that need for assurance leads to insecurity. It leads to a sense that you need validation, you need acceptance, you need longing, you need guidance, you need direction. And you can't really find that stuff unless you really take a deep dive into who you are. You know what I mean? So I've been a slave to the validation of others, wishing I was somebody else, wishing I was a brother where I felt better than myself. But then I had to look in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Be like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm who I am. I can't be you, I can't be them, I can't try to please everybody. I just gotta make sure I'm good.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? And again, at the end of the day, I find myself balanced still. It's still a battle because it's more responsibility nowadays.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So with that responsibility, you gotta make sure you are on point.
Yeah.
But I just, like I said, poetry has helped me voice these thoughts, because without it, I probably will be keeping it in my head, not really having an outlet. I was talking to my good friend, my good brother Randy. I was talking to him, and he was like, you know, and you said it before in a podcast episode with Orville, you were saying as black men, we don't really have outlets to really communicate and express how we really feel.
Yeah.
Now we can address certain things, and we can say, you know, you have to, you know what I'm saying, have somebody at least in your corner. And yeah, that's good. We have people you can definitely talk to about certain things. But when it comes down to the stuff that you really feel like you can't talk to nobody, you know what I mean? You got to find an outlet for that.
So, that being said, right, do you feel like being self-invested in your art is more important than having a backing of some sort, a following? Like, what's more? What has more weight to it? Being able to just be a self-starter, self-invested, meaning that you wake up and this is on your mind. No one needs to inspire you. You don't need a different outlier to just say, hey, get up and do this. Or you don't have to reach for a video or a piece of paper to read, or somebody to really push you or pull you to say, hey, come this way, because this is where your passion is. That's the self-starter. That's the self-invested person. To say, like, okay, you don't have to hype my stuff. I'm gonna hype my stuff because I like what I'm writing. Or do you feel as though that, you know, it's more weight to have that following, especially in a social media type generation that we're in? You know, the followers and the likes give you that boost of confidence. Like, yo, we got a couple hundred likes.
Got a couple hundred.
You know what I'm saying? So which weighs more? Which do you feel is more authentic, man? Because for me, if I'm honest, the likes and the views give you that feeling of, man, I'm being heard. Like, I'm being really, like, people are paying attention to me.
Yeah.
It's not just me, like, in a room talking to nobody. People actually, like, are digging what I'm saying. Now, and then it's like, okay, do I need that to help motivate me? Do I need that to, you know, really keep my brand going? Or am I self-starter?
If you were to stop investing in yourself, do you think the support would sustain you?
Honestly, in today's time, no, because people have such a short attention span. Like, in 60 seconds, you can be the next big thing, and in 60 seconds, you can be history.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
People can forget about you that fast.
Or what have you done for me now?
Yeah.
Like, now, never mind lately.
Yeah.
Now, because people, like, we are in that now generation where it's just like, it just happens so fast. Shiggy show.
Yeah, Shiggy got a Shiggy challenge now.
Shiggy challenge.
He doing numbers now.
You know? Doing numbers.
He finally got a blue check. Breakfast Club, Ebro in the morning, he doing his thing.
Everything.
He got a blue check on Instagram.
And he's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
But it took one little trend, one random thing that he chose to do that got him on a bigger platform.
That's the difference between somebody who's motivated and somebody that's waiting to be moved.
Speak on it. Like, so somebody who's motivated, somebody who's waiting to be moved.
Somebody waiting to be moved is kind of like they don't really have that drive, or the drive isn't strong enough. The passion is strong enough for them to keep on going, despite obstacles and odds against them. Somebody that's motivated, they have that fire that's continuously burning, and they continually fanning that flame to keep it going. Somebody asked a question in the comments, said, is your poetry more about your personal thoughts or your environment? I'm gonna answer that question right after this too. So the person who's motivated, you know what I mean, they're more inclined to get up and like Big Sean say, he's still getting up more like the rest do. He's already paid, but he's waking up in the morning like
I gotta get the rent.
I gotta get it.
I like that.
And I think that just goes to show for his passion. To answer the question in the comments, it says, is your poetry more about your personal thoughts or your environment? I would say it's kind of like a mix of both, because I think my thoughts are just, you know, what I'm gathering from my environment, and my environment can also be what I'm shaping by my actions. You know what I mean? So I try to find a way to bring both together to have like a whole cohesive, you know, unit or piece to give to somebody for real, so that they can see what's going on. At least get a glimpse of what's happening.
Dig that.
Yeah. What do you think though, difference between somebody motivated and somebody that's waiting to be moved?
Motivated comes from within. Self-motivation, right? Easy. And I think it takes a while to be self-motivated, because if you don't have anybody to teach you, then you are looking at different resources and how they get self-motivated, and you're practicing their methods until you establish your own. Versus, like, what was the second part? Give me the terminology.
Somebody waiting to be moved.
Somebody waiting to be moved is stagnant. Like, I'm going to sit here until somebody comes along and likes what I do, or says that I can do what I want to do, or what I feel like I can do, but I've never really spoke life into it.
Yeah.
That's scary, because you live with that what if. Somebody who's waiting for, like, if I was waiting for Nuance to evolve, we probably wouldn't have been Nuance. Or you, if you was waiting for Nuance to get here. But instead, we was just like, you know what, we gonna do this. We're gonna be J-Rod-D. We're gonna be G off to the side in our own realms. And then God just, you know what I'm saying, the stars aligned. It was beautiful. Now, how we did that, I think it was challenging, for myself at first, because I'd never been a part of a team before when it came to delivering something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had to belittle myself and be like, okay, now it's not just you delivering this, it's you and your brother. So make sure that everything, like, you can't like half step any piece, because he's gonna come with it every time. And then he for lack, like, if we're honest, let me just backtrack. Jay was always the self-starter of the group. Jay was always the spearhead of a lot of things, and then it encouraged me to be like, all right, step aside, let me spearhead some things. Let me just tag me in. That, you kind of need that, because I'm a visionary. You give me the topic, and then I go on and branch out to what I think it could be. And he's open-minded, we're both open-minded, and it just works. And then we switch roles. Because sometimes you'd be like, okay, what you got? Or I will hit you with something like, yo, I got something I've been working on. Let me kick it to you. And then we just go straight from there. Like, Five Fingers.
Yeah.
Five Fingers ended up being one of our best pieces that we love to perform, because it was just like, it had that energy, it had that feel, you know? And then I feel like that was one of the ones that just like magnified the transparency element in the room, like that we started to evolve and develop as a team. Like, you may have always had it, but I didn't. Just like I always had the visionary piece, but you may have not had. It's that much. Like, I got some questions over here too.
Okay.
Like, one question was, how do you plan to use your art to shape the next generation of black males?
I think it's speaking from a more of a positive example. Speaking of more of it, first of all, giving exactly how it is, like not trying to play around with it or make it seem like it's better than what it is or worse than what it is, but giving exactly how it is. I think just being real with someone can save someone's life. And when it comes to being a poet, you definitely want to make sure you're not fluffing it up. Because of course we have the words and the vocabulary, and we can definitely use the dictionary and make that thing work and add the little feathers and everything to it to make it nice and buttery. But at the end of the day, with all that, because that's good for the aesthetic. With all that, you want to be able to deliver it in a way that's straight. Straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Straightforward.
Yeah,
I would say the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Be straightforward with it. Be personal. Like pull it in order to help shape those next poets, especially in Black America, you have to be straightforward, because everything else feels so sugar-coated or watered down to them. They need something that's just really concentrated.
Another thing I would say is this, right?
Yeah.
Because even with music, and again, I was talking to my good brother Damo. Damo was saying he did a social experiment with his class. He's doing the summer enrichment program he's doing right now. He teaches in DC, and so he did a social experiment. They had to write down a song that impacted them and the artist. They write the artist and the song, and I think he tallied up what the topics were. Was it violence? Was it about love? Was it about something else? And a lot of the songs that the students chose were about violence that impacted them. They felt were important to them. They love those songs the most. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And it kind of just gives you a little perspective or glimpse of what's going on in the lives of the youth for real from where they stand.
I feel that.
And I think trying to come at that as a poet, you want to be able to give them the message, but you don't want to make it too messagey. You want to find a way that is catchy, that it's like okay. In passing by, I heard that and caught on. I remember that. Perfect example would be artists that we know like Drake makes probably the most catchiest songs I know. I'm not saying you got to be Drake, but I'm saying think about how he has a lot of things that you can just think about. Quotables, I guess you can say.
Quotables, yeah, that's good. That's a good way to put it.
And that's one thing I try to work on, like having something that somebody can quote afterwards. So I may memorize a line. I may try to get the way I say it just right, the cadence is right. Yeah. We do Five Fingers, and it's a lot of things that people can remember from that joint. Like you can't be out here claiming chief if you're so willing to leave your tribe high and dry in the end. Run it back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You can't be so willing to claim chief if you wouldn't leave your tribe high and dry in the end. So it's kind of like that play on words right there. But you think about it, okay, in the end, okay, tribe. Oh, in the end, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
But I get it now. You can't leave your tribe high and dry.
Yeah.
If you claim to be chief, okay, I it makes sense now. It makes sense. So stuff like that, I feel is gonna be important with poetry, as it always is, but more so for more examples of guys who are doing things outside of the mic, right?
Yeah, I got another one.
Go ahead.
As grown men now, what emotion would you say is hard for young Black men to talk about, and how have you decided to write about it yet? Have you decided to write about it yet? Excuse me. So I'll say it again. As grown men now, what emotion would you say is hard for young Black men to talk about, and have you decided to write about it yet? Me, if I'm honest, depression.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even say young Black men. I would just say Black men in general.
In general, yeah.
Because we don't address depression as much as I think we should. And it's something that, it's very under the surface. Because Black men are, I feel, and this is just my perspective, Black men are taught, don't cry. Be tough. Ever since we was little boys. You get knocked down and you get a scrape, you can't sit there and cry about it. Rub some dirt on it and you be good. Up until your teenage years, you get that puppy love and then she dumped you. You be like, oh man, that's just a girl.
Yeah.
There's more fish in the sea.
Yeah.
Up until when you grown and you looking for a job. Look, young brother, the man want to see us down. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna try to put us down. You just gotta, you know, all of that. Like, but they don't like it. Never really, all through life, there was never a sit down. At least now I can't remember where you talked about your depression. You talked about that sadness that may take over. The things that go in your mind that nobody else knows because you were taught to keep it inside. So I think that's the emotion that, you know, I would like to just shed some light on, because it's a lot of both young and old brothers who really need to just open up. We need to create that safe haven.
Yeah. I like to put in the category of things that you may feel embarrassed to express in like a public setting.
Okay.
So I think a lot of times, like, there's so many things you can add to that category. Depression is one. A lot of things, it could also be fear. It could also be like, it could be love. You know, you don't want to be seen as like a sucker or a punk because you like, you know, this certain girl, whatever. I mean, it could be a few things, but to categorize it, because I can't really think of too many specific topics, but to categorize it, I would say anything a person may feel embarrassed to express in like a public setting, because that can keep a lot of people from even expressing anything. And think about poetry, the fact that you're going up to a public setting in front of people and expressing things that you may originally have felt embarrassed to express.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We got more from the Q&A section.
Okay.
What keeps you going during the times your message is not well received? What are those things you tell yourself in order to keep going?
Well received, what do you mean as far as well received? Like people not liking it, or people...
Them crickets.
The crickets, I mean, it could simply be on how I was delivering it. You know, I mean, the time that I could think of when I didn't really get a response that I was looking for, I feel like I put my heart into this poem and it wasn't really accepted or whatnot.
That's tough, man.
It may have been like,
that's it.
From what I remember, it was always either a flaw I made in like delivery. I may have been nervous up there, or I may not have had enough presence, or I may not have been as assertive in what I was trying to say. You know, it could have been that. I don't know, man. I like to think that I write about stuff that people would like to hear. You know what I'm saying? But I think for real, it might just be like something I may have said or how I may have said it.
I feel that. For me,
I try not to think about it too much as far as like why people didn't like it. I'd be like, you know what, man? Alright, you know, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But I mean, yeah.
I used to overthink that, man. Like when you sit there and you just, especially if you practice that piece and you give it that performance that you felt like was like, yo, I'm about to, you know, I feel like this was great, and you get that.
Yeah. And then the next person comes up, girl, I just want to lay you down. And you like, yo! and then you be like,
I love it.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Everything ain't for everybody. It just wasn't your time.
For everybody, man.
It just wasn't your time.
It was just poor timing. Because that's how they be though sometimes. I think I knocked off my deck. No, I didn't. But anywho, Johnson, crazy. What's the, ooh.
Yeah, definitely. I try to definitely say that because.
That's crazy.
I seen that more than anything. You go up there and be like, all right, bet. You do your piece. We do it like a dope. We do 5 Fingers of Black Boy. Oh, snap. That was real. Next thing you know.
Real, man. I appreciate y'all just coming in. You know what I'm saying? That was dope.
All right, so I got something that's going to make you think, or I got something for the ladies.
Do something for the ladies.
And as soon as they open that up, it's like the floodgates open. Everybody's going crazy. You're like, bro, like, for real? That's
for real,
That's all it took?
All we had to do was write something that was just like...
That's all it took? Oh, okay, well, shoot, I see the game y'all playing.
Bro, do you feel like some of those things is just typical of them pieces? Is it... Do people think poetry is that one-dimensional?
I blame Love Jones, man.
I was just... Shake my hand, brother, because I was just thinking that nuance, man. I just don't understand.
I blame Lorenz Tate, man.
Lorenz Tate... You owe us an explanation, brother.
You gonna be a check, Lorenz.
Because say, sweet thing, can I be your slave? That's all everybody think about. So, especially when we get on stage and they just think we about to just go over there and try to just whoop-de-whoop-whoop with the whoop-whoop. Nah, we got some words for y'all, man. We got something to say.
Yeah, definitely a lot more, man.
I know, like, we attractive, but dang, man, We got some things. We have brains too. Lorenz Tate.
And I
if
think
that's your real name, say no, it's fine.
And again, man, the whole discovery piece we talking about, and being a self-motivated person in art, you know what I mean, our art form. Shoot, the self-motivated poet is like, okay, cool. I mean, that's what y'all doing, but I know what I want to do. I know exactly how I want to see my poems, and I know the approach I want to have, my purpose. It's not now, purpose. Key word.
Purpose.
And
that's the word of the day, people.
I guess we can wrap it up with this right here, purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go into like what your purpose is. I mean, but let's just because I mean we can go on all day with that, and you may not have like a specific, you know, tightly knit sentence for that one. But let's talk about just purpose in general. Like, it's purposeful, being purposeful and being motivated. How does all this keep you going? Thinking about purpose and what you want to do. You know, what keeps you going with poetry?
Being able to be vulnerable.
Okay.
With poetry allows me to redefine that purpose.
Mm.
Because your purpose may change.
Mm.
And it can be a situation that it will keep you stagnant. And I was also having a conversation earlier that was just like, well, what are those gray areas that you may feel like where your pen is just not, you and your pen are just not gelling?
Mm.
And it's hard, man. It's difficult. So I would say just being able to be vulnerable with yourself, like just put it out there. Because you never know who is going through the same thing or who was thinking it, but you said it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you wrote it. And they read it. And it was just like something that was so applicable to what they was going through, or applicable, whatever, how you turn, like how you use it. But it's just like, yo, let it go.
Yeah.
Be honest. Be truthful. And then be free. Yeah. What about you?
I want to remain accurate. Thinking about how I paint pictures and how I develop poems and things like that. I just want to remain accurate because if I can get somebody as close to that idea or concept I'm trying to deliver as I possibly can, the better, because that means that I'm pointing them in the right direction.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So if I can stay accurate with my work, if I can stay sharp with how I'm looking at things, and again, humility goes a long way.
Yeah.
Because I have to humble myself enough to look at my experiences, look at my environment, and be honest about what's going on, and not just try to make a cool line or a cool bar, but to really be a mouthpiece, really be someone that's standing up and delivering the truth. You know what I'm saying? The real deal. You know.
Yeah. Tell the truth, man.
Yeah. So I try to make sure I'm staying accurate, man.
Accuracy is,
and that keeps me purposeful with my poems. Purposeful.
That's another thing. Purposeful. Being purposeful.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
What is your purpose? Are you there to just, do y'all want this poem or you want that poem type? Or do you have like a specific desire and a specific vision, more so in mind, to just say, hey, this is for somebody that's outside of me that may be feeling the same thing as when I wrote this?
Yeah.
That's powerful, man.
I think honestly, at the end of the day, man, I want to be a resource, you know, a resource for things that'll help people get things in order they need to get in order.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like we can, like, so it's kind of like a give and go. Like if I got something I pass to you, you go ahead and do what you got to do with it, pass back, and you just keep on going until you score. So I think just, you know, try and make sure I'm in that environment, because at the end of the day, if I'm not having the aim of helping someone, even if it's not everybody, but helping someone, then I feel like I'm not on point with being more purposeful in my art. I feel like I'm just up there just saying stuff, and I don't never want to go up to a stage and not have nothing to say.
Just be of no substance.
Yeah. So the substance definitely comes with that, man.
Right. I feel like when we walk into a room, we make it our domain. We make it our business to be there about business. About the business of reaching people, I should say. Because some people just, talk. they don't talk to be heard. They just talk, hoping somebody just listens to them, or they just want that limelight.
Yeah.
That limelight can get you in trouble and that limelight can distract you from what it is you're here to do, your purpose.
Yeah, definitely.
I used to chase the limelight at one point. Because I thought that was like, when you had the limelight, you was a man. All eyes was on you. You had the microphone. Now, it's just like, well, do you need the microphone? Do you need the light? Or can you just use what you have?
That's how poetry keeps you honest. See? Again, that poetry keeps you honest with yourself. Is you gonna check yourself based on just reflecting on a piece you did, like, okay, man, because now you're thinking about what went into that piece and the type of approach you had to that, and the mindset you had going to that, and what emotional slant that you had when you delivered it. And it's like, man, you now learning more and defining more and redefining it. Man, it's a journey, man. That's why I like poetry. It's really a journey that you're taking.
Yo.
It's a journey you're taking, man.
It's a journey you're taking. It's the poet life, man.
The more honest you are, the more authentic you are, I think the more really your poems will be. And the more empowering and powerful they may be, man.
Right, and then you don't start your poem until you start telling the truth.
That's real. The truth is the poem.
The truth is the poem.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel like is a true definition of poetry. When you really put yourself there to tell your truth. You share that space with people. And you're vulnerable. And you walk in your purpose. Because your purpose, I feel like there's some fear there. There is some like insecurities that you may not have addressed before. There are some unveiling moments of yourself. And then there's that stage of the unknown.
Yeah.
Like, will people receive this? Like, how am I going to say this? What will I even write? And then you just stop thinking about it and you just go. You go. Beautiful, man.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful.
Hey, for those just tuning in, it's Poet Life Podcast.
Yeah.
Wrapping up another episode 8 right here. I want to thank y'all who have been supporting us so far. Also, if you have any questions, we do our Q&As as well. If you have any questions about poetry, the art, spoken word, anything about this, man, send us those questions. And we'll feature your question on our next Q&A episode. Once again, I'm J-Rod D.
And I'm G.
You tune into the Poet Life Podcast.
Hosted by none other than
Luan. Speed, y'all.